Hey, what is going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? Hope y'all are having a great day, and if you're not, well then hopefully you will have it better tomorrow. So, in celebration of RWBY Volume 5 coming out this week, I wanted to just have us another character analysis as a part of RWBY Week here on the channel this week. So, now today, obviously, as you can tell, we are going to be talking about Nora Valkyrie. Yeah, that's right. Good old, enthusiastic, energetic Nora. Now, I have to say, this is actually one of my personal favorite characters, and honestly, I do like to talk about Nora. So, let's go ahead and get through it, and let's start by just having this good old discussion about Nora today. So, we're going to talk about some good, character facts about this, as well as personality and weapon and semblance traits. So, let's dig in and get into this moment for Nora here. Now, anyways, so starting off, Nora herself, as we know, she was an orphan. And, of course, she was protected by Lyrin during the attack of Troyuri. And, interesting thing is, Nora's character is actually based off Thor. Now, I thought that was interesting when, Rooster Teeth decided to make this character based off Thor. I actually have to say I was pretty impressed with that because the hammer, obviously, is supposed to be Mole Jr. and yeah, it's actually a pretty funny little fact there. But yeah. So as we continue on, Nora is actually originally a part of a team known as Team Juniper. Now that consisted of Jean, Pyrrha, Rin, and herself, and they were obviously at Beacon. That's when they were obviously formed, of course, as you know. And the first person she locked eyes with was Lyrin, which kind of funny since they had been childhood friends, and he'd always been there for her. Now, of course, this changed by the time of the fall of Beacon, unfortunately, when the loss of Pyrrha occurred, and so their team kind of, I guess, it didn't necessarily break apart, but without Pyrrha, it did leave them with one less member. Now, when at the end of Volume 4, when Ruby herself, gets them together, they create a new team together to go to Mistral to Haven. And what this team is actually called, it is known as Team Ranger, is what they are currently going by, and they have been this team, I guess, for around because the time skip is like 6 months, so around the time of 6 months almost, they have been this team, and apparently, as you can tell, they actually work very well together. I mean, Nora actually works well, with the rest of them. As a matter of fact, Nora actually always does pretty well under commands of Jean, without question. So she actually has been very good on her own within combat. Now, as we go into her personality, so Nora herself as a character, personality wise, so she's actually a happy-go-lucky, bubbly, and playful, young girl. And she's mainly characterized by her boundless enthusiasm. Everybody knows her as, an enthusiastic kind of character. And, obviously, that's what she is. Now, one thing about Nora is she talks a lot. Like, a lot. And, the thing is, she has no filtering system. So, whatever comes out of her mouth, she clearly hasn't thought about before she said it because, she'll say random things. Like, for example, the whole I'm Queen of the Castle, which, one of the best lines, by the way, in Volume 1. I think the best line, period, in Volume 1 was, with the whole Carden issue whenever he was bullying John. And, she said, let's break his legs. Honestly, best line, in my opinion, in all of Volume 1. That's personal opinion, though. But, the thing is, Nora tends to, have a tendency to jump from one topic to the next, due to her rather peculiar imagination. So she has a very big imagination. It's always, always coming out, like thinking about something different all the time. And, her personality changes according to her mood, and she's prone to becoming a nuisance to, people around her sometimes because, she'll lose her focus on the conversation, and then, sometimes she'll even experience anxiety attacks, which, that's a pretty sad thing. Anxiety is a pretty bad thing to deal with. But, Nora is a very, very intellectual and insightful character despite, how playful she is. And she actually can read people very well. I mean, if you notice, it's like Pyrrha, for example, she knew Pyrrha liked John, and it was very obvious she could tell. It's like when, in Volume 2, whenever, Pyrrha told, John to, or, John to just basically go ask Weiss, despite how she felt, it's like what she said, practice what you preach, Pyrrha. That's what Nora said to Pyrrha after she said that. And, Nora's actually, pretty strategic, considering that she's able to figure out how to defeat enemies on her own, um, and that's just something she just kind of comes up with, whenever it comes to her personality in combat. She will do that, and obviously she's very obedient as well. So actually makes her a very reliable teammate, actually, and she has a lot of power behind that. So if we were to talk about her weapon here, which is the Magnahild, now this is her hammer slash, I guess you could say cannon, and the hammer itself is actually very, very interesting. Um, Now she seems to, well, it's a grenade launcher, not a cannon, but and it goes into a warhammer. But it's actually very good, and within combat, this is actually very useful for long range and close range. So if she has to fight an enemy for long range, she doesn't have to use the hammer. She can use, the grenade launcher, and the grenade launcher is actually very helpful to her because, hey, you know what? She realizes if I can't hit them up close, then I'm gonna just hit them, from far away, and boom, So that's actually very interesting. And within Volume 4, she actually upgraded the hammer so that she could actually have an electrical charge in it to actually work with her semblance. And then getting onto that, as a matter of fact, her semblance. Now, her semblance is the ability to produce and channel electrical energy into her muscles. So this provides her extra enhanced strength. So in which her strength, she's already strong enough, stating that she basically can bench press 5 times her own weight. So if she can bench press 5 times her own weight, just imagine what that does when she's just souped up on this electrical energy she gets. I mean, seriously, she's basically just a generator. Like just takes it all in and just keeps producing, and it's just like the more she gets, the stronger she is, which is literally insane to a character like this because that makes her a big threat against her enemies. So her semblance is actually a very good one. Obviously, it proves that this works very well with her character, considering she is somebody with high energy. Getting electrical energy, a lot of it makes her stronger. Actually, is very interesting to think about. So, that's actually a pretty cool thing if you think about Nora. And here's a little bit of facts for you about Nora. So, you know, interesting thing about Nora that you actually may enjoy, is the song "Boop," which is the song was done, created by Jeff Williams, which was in the RWBY Volume 2 soundtrack. It is about Nora and her relationship with Rin. It's actually very interesting, as well as that. Another thing that's really cool about this, which I'll get into the whole thing with Rin in a second. Another interesting fact that alongside Ruby, Rose, and Jean Arc, one of the characters who owns an object sold in the Rooster Teeth store is Nora, and it's her Boop shirt, as you can see right there. And very interesting that they would do that, and it's actually really cool. Now, Nora herself, another interesting fact about Nora. Now, her name in Japanese, which, Nora, like in Japanese, Nora, which means stray. So, as from, like shown in the past, with Lyrin, obviously we don't know her origins, but she was seen as a stray orphan child when Lyrin finds her, So that's actually kind of an interesting thing, whether, Rooster Teeth thought of, that or whatever. That was actually very interesting. And another little interesting fact about Nora is her eyes. Okay, so here's something very interesting about her eyes. In Volume 1, her eyes were actually turquoise. And then in Volume 2 and 3, her eyes were jade. And then in Volume 4 to current, her eyes were now aqua. So there was obviously an eye color change with Nora. Very interesting fact here. And one more little fact I thought y'all might like. The shipping between Nora and Rin is known as flower power. And it's actually really, really interesting. And within the lyrics of, the song Boop by Jeff Williams, funny thing is she actually talks about Magnahild, and it actually talks about her relationship with Rin. So it's actually very interesting that they actually kind of threw that in that song. Gotta say, very creative on Jeff's part. I actually have to say, very, very good with the lyrics. He did a very good job. He very good with the lyrics on his part. But but yeah, it actually states the relationship, and like I said, I can't praise it enough that Jeff Williams did a very good job on the lyrics. He really did. I really like them. Boop is actually one of my favorites from the Volume 2 soundtrack. Very, very good. But anyways, but that's everything I can tell you about Nora at the time being that I thought would be interesting to you guys, that I thought everybody would enjoy. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and if you did, well, I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it. Let me know what you think about Nora in the comments down below, and I hope you all have a great day. Got one more video out here for you, so I'm producing one more for you guys, so stay tuned for the rest of this for today. Talk to y'all later.